Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this regularly scheduled board meeting. Just getting through here. Convened and called to order at 7:03 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for being here tonight. Welcome. Welcome to all of our guests in TV land. Let the record reflect that all board members are present and accounted for. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Merkley.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Borg. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We adopt the agenda unanimously. There was no action taken in closed session this evening, so we'll move right along to our student board members report. And it's my pleasure to welcome Chloe Jameson and Nadia Bashir to the front for the board members report.
Woo!
Hello. Okay, so I'll be covering old business and the Whitcomb High School report. So Wellness Wednesday. Every Wednesday, students at GHS participate in a survey that is facilitated by the counselors. The survey gives each student a chance to give feedback about how they're doing during distance learning. Non-identifying data is shared with our staff, so they have the best opportunity to serve our students during this unprecedented time. We had our first ever virtual back-to-school night on Thursday, September 17th. We hope you enjoyed it if you attended. If not, you can access it on our website. Tartan University, 2 weeks ago, we had 2 outstanding webinars presented by our partners at CollegeWise. In addition to the webinars, CollegeWise has put on 2 useful resources. First is their one-way program, free to students for all ages, helping everyone navigate college admissions. The second resource is a step-by-step common application guide for our 2021 seniors. These resources were emailed out and are available on our website. And as a senior, I attended these webinars and they were very helpful. Glendora High School had a virtual club rush on the week of the 13th. We offer many different clubs. They typically fall in one of the 3 categories: subject area, which are clubs that focus on specific academic subjects; hobby clubs, clubs that focus on specific hobbies or interests; and community service, clubs that focus on making an impact in the community. Now on to the Whitcomb High School report. So students at Whitcomb are continuing to push through the distance learning the best they can. Like every other school, they have their ups and downs, but their students will continue to persevere and push through until they return. They have started up their Brains and Brawn Mental Physical Awareness Program for all interested students and staff. This is sponsored by the TUPE grant and operated by a physical trainer. Students have the opportunity to work out with this trainer twice per week if they choose so. This program was started last year by a teacher, Mr. Love, and school counselor, Mrs. Ayers, which was very successful. The yearbook teacher and advisor, Mrs. I, have been working with some of the students and teachers in an effort to put together a yearbook that will be something that will be memorable for all students. The school as a whole is presenting her with many different ideas. If anyone is going to be able to pull this off, it will be Mrs. I. Thank you.
I will be covering new business in the Sellers School Report. So last week, students submitted 10-second videos greeting the elderly and saying a word of kindness to remind them that we love and care about them. The videos will be sent out this next week. This week and last week, students were able to write letters to local firefighters thanking them for their hard work, and those letters will be dropped off next week as well. We have an esports competition coming up. Registration ended on the 23rd and tryouts began on the 24th. The official games decided on as of now are League of Legends and Rocket League, but this is subject to change. Mr. Alutis will be the coach of the team. However, it was not able to become an official CIF sport, so we'll operate as an esports club, but we'll still engage in tournaments and act as an official team with other schools. Students have shown exceptional interest in this new club on campus, partly due to it being a non-mainstream event and we were able to reach out to a whole new group of students who usually don't get involved with ASB events. Last week, GHS announced a tentative return date for fall sports conditioning on October 12th. Student parent nights for each sport have been scheduled to review safety protocols. Last week, GHS also announced a tentative return date for some of our after-school performing arts programs on October 19th. Student and parent nights for these programs have been scheduled to review safety protocols as well. Congratulations to Brandon Gia and Lauren Mraz for the great honor of being named National Merit Scholarship semifinalists. The entire Torrance community is so proud of this incredible accomplishment. Best of luck to them as they move forward in the process. Approximately 1.6 million students in about 22,000 high schools enter the National Merit Scholarship Competition annually when they take the preliminary SAT/National Scholar qualifying test. Semifinalists are the highest scoring program entrants in each state and represent the top 0.5% of the state's senior students. Seller School is off to a great start with the distance learning model for the 2020-21 school year. Dr. De Leon has visited virtual classrooms and took a tour of the Canvas site classrooms as well. Sellers has had several curbside material pickups for students in all grades, and next week they will be starting curbside library books pickup. Seller students participated in an online book fair during September as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice. We really do appreciate hearing from both of you this evening. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to move on to a presentation by the Glendora Education Foundation, if they'd like to join us. It's my pleasure to welcome the Glendora Education Foundation board members and staff up to the podium this evening. We're excited to hear what you have to say to us.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Preeti Patel. I'm the Executive Director of the Glendora Education Foundation. And I want to thank you for inviting us here to present the results of our Glendora Connects campaign. A few of us from the foundation met with the cabinet and determined what the top needs are in order for our students and teachers to be successful in a virtual learning environment. With that, they determined their top 4 choices, and those included hotspots, internet connectivity, LTI, enhanced virtual meeting environment, and professional development for our teachers. And they determined that in mind with our unprecedented times with COVID-19 and what the needs are. Also, they determined it would take approximately $150,000 to ensure that every student and teacher has what they need to be successful in a virtual learning environment. With that said, we launched the Glendora Connects campaign. We launched this campaign a week before school began, and we ran the campaign for approximately 4 weeks. We wanted to do it with a time limit because of the urgency and the critical need out for our students and teachers. I'm here happy and proud to present to you guys that our community, our Glendora community, came together and raised $146,189. This money will ensure that our students and teachers have what they need to be successful in a virtual learning environment and beyond.
Can we clap now?
I don't know who I can present this wonderful check to. We would love to do that, have some pictures.
You want to go down and get that check? Ooh, can I go?
Yes.
Okay.
This is going to do more than you know for the students and staff of this district. We cannot thank you enough.
Let me put my mask on.
We'll be happy to take your picture, but if
if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to let the board have questions and
Of
comments
course.
after we do that.
Of course.
All right, Dr. Summers.
That's a big check.
Wow. Wow. You all are incredible. All right, everybody smile under their mask with their eyes. Awesome. I'll send that to our newsletter. Thank you.
I'd like to thank, yep, come on up, and I'd also like to recognize the board members who have, are hiding from the camera, but I'd like to thank Tamara Dale and Brennan Stewart and Mike Beckman from being here tonight. We really appreciate it. Do any of the board members, would anybody like to make any comments or have any questions?
No questions, just a huge thank you. We know it's above and beyond and times aren't easy, and to raise that amount of money is amazing. Thank you.
We have a great community. Thank you.
I have a quick question. What does LTI stand for?
So it is learning
I'm not sure what the T is for, but the I is integration.
Okay.
And it is the ability to integrate digital curriculum resources into Canvas.
learning technology integration.
Learning technology integration, and that means it's integrating technology, I'm sorry, one more time, Dr. Summers. Mm-hmm.
It's a number of different tools for our teachers to be able to use online, resources like online workbooks, online, like all kinds of online teaching resources, mathematics resources, you name it, it's on there.
Okay,
So,
all right, so the hot spots in the connectivity, the online resources, this is where my
Enhanced virtual meeting.
enhanced Zoom.
enhanced Zoom, okay, you need the additional features to be able to do that. And the fourth one,
Professional development.
professional development.
For
And
our
so-
teachers for distance learning.
Professional development for our teachers for distance learning. Those sound like exactly what is needed right now in this environment. So I want to thank you all and the hard work that, hello, Mr. Boyer, thank you for joining us. I want to thank you all for the hard work that you do getting into the community and facilitating a way for our community members to be able to support our school district. Because as you suggested, our community members are extremely supportive and extremely generous. But without the foundation, they wouldn't have a way to do that. So thank you for partnering with our administrators and figuring out what is needed right now. Because you're absolutely right. There are things that we need right now that our district wouldn't be able to pay for. And our community stepped up and they delivered those items. So thank you for being the conduit by which the hard work that you all do to get the information out there. And thank you all, I'll say it again, in TV land for all of your participation and support of our district. We couldn't do a lot of things without the support of the foundation and of the community in the district. So thank you all very much. It's very nice to see you all in person. We're happy to have you here, and we appreciate all of your hard work. Thank you.
Can I make one quick comment?
Please.
Trustee Reuter, I just have to say, you know, I have never in my life been in a district with a foundation, and so it was such a shock for me as a new superintendent in this district to go to your board meeting and have a group of amazing, dedicated people say, what do you need? It was incredible, and you met that in a month, and I can't tell you how very, very grateful we are, and the students are. It's an incredible thing that this community does for its kids, and I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. So thank you. And I myself, as a superintendent in this district, is so incredibly blessed for that. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you all.
Okay, we will move on to our superintendent's report now, please. Dr. De Leon.
Yes, I just need to breathe for a second. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and open up my presentation. Give me 1 second. And there it is on the screen, but I can't see that far, so I'm going to open it up myself on my laptop. Oh, do I not have it on?
I don't know, I just want to make sure before you start your presentation. There you go.
There we go, now I'm on. Ooh, yeah, you can hear me now. Oh, no. Let me just open it up real quick. Where did I put it? I did send it to myself. Hold on. 1 second. Oh, my goodness, where did I put it? I'm sorry, just give me, I'm having technical difficulties for a second here. Where did it go? I can't see anything. I don't know. I can't find it where I put it. Okay, that's okay. I will do the best I can to see from up there on the screen because I can't find it on the. So everyone, tonight my superintendent's report is actually our brand new, amazing GUSD Gazette. So the first thing I want to do is I want to let the public know that you asked us for more communication. We heard you. We want to communicate. We want to make sure that you know everything that you need to know and all your questions are answered. So we were so fortunate to be able to hire as sort of a side gig, a side duty, and give a stipend to a wonderful principal, Dr. Jen Prince, who is our new PIO, Public Information Officer of the district. She was hired Thursday. We met with her for the first time Friday to sort of talk about ideas for how we wanted to communicate, make sure we got a lot of information out to our public. And by today, she developed this incredible gazette. So many thanks to Dr. Prince, Dr. Kelson, who helped her over the weekend. Mr. Brummett sent a lot of information. Mr. Chaldu sent a lot of information. So we just want to thank everybody who had something to do with this. So I want to just quickly go through the features of it. Our plan is to send this out every week. I will tell you that this Friday, it's going to look a little different. This Friday, it's going to be a virtual safety tour that we're going to send. So it won't look like a newsletter. It'll be a video. But in any case, if you look at it, so we've got good news on the side there. So I wanted to point out that we've gotten 2 grants, and I know that that is an unusual thing for Glendora to get grants, but we've had some incredible grant writers. One of them, Stacy Johnson, our Director of Food Services, wrote a food services grant, and we got it. Woo! That's a woo-hoo. Come on, let's do it. Woo-hoo. And then also, our arts department, Becky Summers and her team wrote an amazing grant. And that one was $21,000 for arts education. So yay for our grant writers. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And then if you scroll down, you'll also see that we have information about the return of activities and athletics, which I do know that our schools have been planning for some time. GHS has been planning for a while. Here's what I'm going to say. Mr. Brummett and his team are going to present tonight. I don't want to say a lot, but what I do want to say is that it takes time. The protocols for youth athletics and activities is an extensive document. It is no joke. Am I right? Am I right? It is no joke. There is a lot of requirements. There are a lot of requirements. And so they've been working on it for some time. And so the link to the athletic and visual and performing arts information is there. So all you have to do is click on it on your newsletter and it opens it right up. Also, there's information about our middle school athletics. I think they're going to come back to do flag football. So that's going to be really, really exciting. And I wanted to tell you also that why that's important is because we really needed to get our youth athletics and activities up and running before we could really consider the use of our fields, because we have to know when our practices are. And why is that important? Because now with the way the orders are, the health orders and the restrictions, we can't bring all of our athletes to practice at the same time. So they have to have a schedule of staggered practices in small groups. And so we needed to find that out before we could just open up our fields to anybody. So as soon as now that that's settled, we will start to, and we get the middle school schedules, we will start to then reopen our district fields for use to youth athletic leagues. But we got to get our own kids taken care of first. So that's the first priority. So then you'll also see daycare waiver granted. So actually not a waiver, it's a daycare, we got certified. It was our licensing. We had to apply for licensing to be able to do school-aged daycare. You know that we've had a very well, long-established preschool program. This is for kids TK through grades 8. It's being held at Williams. We opened it primarily and first priority to our teachers and our staff of Glendora Unified School District, who are essential workers. They are essential workers, and we wanted to make sure that they had a place to bring their children. It just got licensed the other day, and so we're already filling spots for that. We have a few left, so that's filling up quickly. And also some more news for teen students, and it's not up here, but I can tell you that the city of Glendora is wonderful, and Adam Raymond, city manager, is working with me to open up our teen center for during school daycare for high school students who need a place to go during the day to do their distance learning. So we will have somebody there to supervise. It won't be instruction because they're going to be on their computers doing distance learning, but it will definitely be, there will be supervisors there to help them out. So we're working on that, and we'd like to get that up and running as quickly as possible for our families. So that's big, and we're the only people anywhere in this area that is providing childcare during the school day, childcare, and for kids TK8, and then now for high school as well. So that's a really exciting bit of news. And then there's also news from the county, and you'll see that there are links for the county health orders and also the county COVID numbers. And the post-Labor Day spike that was expected did spike some, but not as high as they had predicted, which is really positive for us because the sooner we can stabilize and stay in red longer, the sooner we can get back to school. Dr. Ferrer told us we can plan on about the first week of November at this rate. Okay, so if you have any questions about that or how that works, if you click on those links, and you can see her direct orders and how they govern what we do and how we bring kids back to school, which is the big question. When are they coming back? Why is it taking so long? What are you doing? So that's what this next section is about. It's entitled, We Can Continue to Work Towards Safely Reopening Our Schools. And under there are some of the things that we have done and links to information included. So you will see that the first thing is that we've spent, oh my gosh, the entire summer trying to plan to comply with the reopening protocols, which are the health orders. We've also linked the protocols there. They are extensive. So when I say they are extensive, things like our sanitizing protocols, our screening protocols for ingress into our schools, in other words, temperature and the way you're feeling, and if you've been exposed. Every child, every staff member, every day has to go through that. Planning that, planning the reopening template for distance learning, moving to hybrid and all the schedules. Thank you to Dr. Summers and her logistics and planning team for that. It's been incredible work. Luckily, they did a lot of that work before we went to distance learning, and now we're just refining it. Staff protocols for returning to schools. Again, a lot of work done, and if you read through that, extensive protocols that staff have to follow to keep safe as well. Weekly telebriefing on the K-12 return to school. So what is that? So my team, our district nurse and myself have weekly opportunities to listen to the LA County Director of Public Health and find out where we are in terms of being able to come to school. And we get to submit on so that meeting for me is every Thursday. Every Tuesday they send us a link where we can ask questions. And boy, oh boy, do superintendents ask a lot of questions. I feel badly for her, but she is so patient answering the questions. So that is a way that we keep informed so that we can continue to keep up with the evolving return to school. And when I say evolving, I am going to let you know that every so often they just completely change the whole thing on us and we kind of go back to square one. So, but I did want you to know that that is happening. Screening via questionnaire and temperature scans. Any of you who came tonight, you saw it. There's a little QR code where you fill out some questions, a survey, and then a hand scanner. We're working on purchasing those for our sites for every classroom, and starting with GHS because they don't have a real way of narrowing down their ingress to one point. So the plan is to get a hand scanner for every classroom at GHS so that as they come in, they scan. So that makes it really, really easy. Another piece there is, the required distancing. So another thing we had to do is we had to get our sites set up for social distancing. So that means the placement of classroom furniture. It means directional tape on the ground to show kids which direction they're walking, or anybody. It means dots on the floor where kids are going to sit or stand, like in the kindergarten classrooms. It means a lot of directional signs all over the place. And so that we've spent, our team, Mr. Chaldu and his team have spent a phenomenal amount of time working on those pieces alone. It's a lot. The next thing is COVID Cares. So this is a team of district employees, teachers, classified staff from all over the district, and administrators who have volunteered to go and check the safety of each of our sites and whether we have followed the protocols. They went out this week, they went out last week, and have been doing checks, letting us know, hey, you know what, we need an extra trash can here, or we need more supplies in this classroom, or, oh, you know what, this teacher's going to need plexiglass, or whatever. So we've been doing that and making sure that everything is up to standard to bring people back. The next step of that is that our first group of teachers to come back, which will be our special education teachers, which is part of our orders, they will all walk their own sites in their own classrooms before we come back, so they can tell us. And so many thanks to everybody who have been setting up those visits. The next thing on there, contact tracing requirements. So part of the orders, and this is one of the most challenging pieces of returning to school, is that we have to cohort kids in 12s with 2 supervising adults, which is a total of 14 people in a classroom at any given time. That is not quite as difficult at the elementary level, but once you get to the secondary level where they have different teachers every period, cohorting is a real challenge. And so we think we've got some ideas around that, but just so you know, part of the most difficult piece about returning is figuring out how to minimize the spread by keeping kids cohorted together, kids and adults, meaning they can't go from classroom to classroom. They have to go out to recess in groups together in one direction. They can't be out at the same time with other groups. When they go to the restroom, we have to clean up after, like every time somebody goes into the restroom, we have to, so we have to keep kids together. No passing periods, those kinds of things. So we have to be very creative. And why is that? Not just to contain the spread, but also we have to, if there is ever a positive case, we have to trace and call every single person that was possibly or potentially in contact. That is really challenging. So we've got those protocols in place. PPE, if you press the link there, you can see pictures of everything we have, a list of everything we have. Our PPE has been coming in gangbusters. I think we've got everything we need at this point. And not only that, but we have gone above and beyond with our PPE. We have offered PPE that we are not required to offer, like gowns, gloves, and all of those pieces. Literally everything anybody needs to feel safe when they come back, we have ordered that. Cleaning protocols, that's another huge thing. Many thanks to Director Tommy Portugal and his team for figuring out the protocols. They're very strict. We have to fog all of our classrooms. We have to clean high-touch surfaces after every use. Every use. So if somebody goes to make copies on the copy machine, you have to text the custodian. They have to come wipe the whole thing off, just like we did at the podium tonight. That's exactly what we have to do. So fogging and all of that. When we return to school, Wednesdays will be our cleaning day between cohorts. So you'll have a cohort that goes Monday, Tuesday, cleaning day, cohort that comes Thursday, Friday. Okay, so there's that. And then the next part here is staying up to date. So what we thought would be helpful was a list of all of the ways that you can keep informed about what's going on in Glendora Unified. So now we have the Gazette. Part of that will be sending videos to you. Also, if you are listening tonight and you are a parent and you are not receiving Blackboard Connect emails, you should have gotten one today around 4 o'clock. If you did not receive that, we potentially might not have your correct email information. Please contact your school principal right away to get on that list, because we send out notifications all the time on Blackboard Connect. You can also go on to our social media sites, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Do follow Glendora Unified on those sites. You can check out our GUSD website, and yes, we are posting news. There's a tab for reopening schools. There's a tab for Ask the Superintendent. There's a tab for my board reports, and a lot of times whenever we're planning something, I will review it in great detail at the board meeting, probably too much detail, but it is a way for you to also see what is happening. Ask the Superintendent, that is also a link, like I said, on our website. We also send that out all the time through social media, and we say, hey, check it, the answers are updated. I try to answer those every Friday. If not, I do them on the weekend, and they are there by Saturday or so, depending on how many there are. Anything you want to ask me, I will answer it. Also, okay, another thing is I have convened a Superintendent Student Advisory Council at each level. The next one is October 14th, Wednesday. It's on Wellness Wednesdays. So if any of you, your students would like to participate, just email me, padeleon@glendora.k12.ca.us. I am also in the process of convening a parent advisory council, which will be the presidents of the PTA and my ELAC, all in the same room, and they're going to help inform me, and then all of our ELACs, and then also a superintendent's community advisory council, which will have pretty much everybody representing all of the community groups on it, and that will be happening in the next couple of weeks. So like one Wednesday will be the students, the next one will likely be the parents, followed by the community one. We also do once a month, we're trying to do parent forums, so we'll be planning another one very soon. And one thing that a lot of people don't know, but how our staff keeps informed, besides all the meetings they have with us all the time, is our principals run staff town halls and discuss whatever topical information they have for that moment. So those have been really great. And then, of course, all of you should have access at home. If you don't have it, make sure we get that for you. Contact your principal. Titan HST, which is emergency notifications that go out whenever maybe there's a lockdown situation or an earthquake, a fire, or anything like that. So anyway, so all of that was in our newsletter this week. If you ever have any questions or you want us to highlight anything in the newsletter, you can always email me, ask the superintendent, whatever other way you would like to reach out. Anyway, that is my report for tonight. Thank you, board.
Thank you very much. I think we're all very excited to see the GUSD Gazette. I'll give any of the board members an opportunity to make a comment or have any questions. Anyone? I do have one quick question.
Sure.
You mentioned the parent forum on the second page there. Do you mean by that a similar town hall type meeting like the Facebook Live that you did right before we
Yes.
went back to school?
I
Okay.
plan on doing another one in the next upcoming weeks to let them know about our first phase of return to school.
Okay.
So I can inform everyone now if you like, but the first phase is we are permitted to bring up to 10% of our students back for special targeted services like special education and English learners and foster youth.
Okay.
So that will be the first group of kids to come back, and our target date for opening that is October 19th. So we will have a parent forum just to answer. I usually hold parent forums when there's something big coming up, like reopening or whatever. And like when we started at the beginning of school, I did it a couple weeks or like a week before school started so we can get everybody's questions out. So I'll do it again in another week or so to get all the parents whose kids are coming back in those special targeted groups so they can have the opportunity to ask us whatever questions they have in preparation for bringing their kids back.
So it'll be sometime before the 19th.
I would say
then.
it'll be in the next week or so.
Okay, and it will be for anybody could participate in the
Anybody can
forum, not
participate.
just parents of children in that first 10%.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
anybody can participate, but I do definitely want to make sure I'm giving the opportunity to people who have questions about return.
Great.
For sure.
Appreciate that. Okay, great. We're going to move right along then. Thank you very much, Dr. De Leon, for the superintendent's
you.
report. And our staff presentation and information tonight. Everybody is looking forward to hearing from our Glendora High School Athletics and Performing Arts. Mr. Brummett, Mr. Tilton, and Mr. Llewellyn, please join us up front.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. President Reuter, Board of Trustees, Dr. De Leon, Cabinet, we really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you about our reopening plan for athletics and performing arts. First and foremost, Ed Foundation, wow, that was really impressive.
Wow.
And really exciting for our district, so thank you so much to our Ed Foundation on behalf of Glendora High School. This has been a really extensive and long process. We've spent a lot of time on looking at different protocols and different rules that are in place from different entities. And the difficult part when you plan for something like this is information changes quite often. So while we're doing this planning, when we go over the timeline in a little bit, you'll see the evolution of this plan that's been in place and evolved since June. So we're really proud of the work that's been done at the site. I'm proud of our team for getting us here, and we're really excited for the opportunity to talk to you tonight about our reopening plan. This picture right here symbolizes hope for our school and for our district. Our theme for Glendora High School this year is Glendora Grit. It's something we're really excited about, but this picture was taken the morning of the first day of our drive-through registration. Yay. Something completely new that we had to do. And when I took this picture, I'm not a good photographer, but I'm pretty proud of this one. It symbolized to us something new, right? The sun's shining on a new school year, it's gonna look completely different. And this reopening plan and how we're gonna be doing performing arts and athletics and bringing them back is completely different and completely new. So we always celebrate this photo whenever we get a chance to. Kind of the agenda for this presentation is an overview of how we got here and where we plan to go, because there's still work to be done. We're going to talk about the timeline that's existed since June and how it's evolved. We're going to talk about the framework that we use for our plan. And then we're going to talk about the nuts and bolts of what the plan actually entails. Because it's a pretty extensive document, we're going to kind of summarize, and then we'll publish the document for our parents and for everybody in the community. So here's our timeline for reopening. This started back in June. Our team at GHS started to evaluate current procedures and protocols that were in place from different entities, including the Department of Health, the state, the county, CIF, and other organizations as well. And part of that process was doing a needs assessment for PPE. What would we need to bring kids back to be able to participate in sports? And what would that entail? And we started those conversations about mid-June. And we targeted a date of return for July 6th. But as you know, right around that time is when the spike, the second wave, if you will, happened. And it pushed us back and it delayed us for an indefinite amount of time. So during that time, right before the spike hit, we actually brought our coaches together and did an extensive training at our site for COVID-related practices and conditioning. And so we started that initial conversation, which we were really excited about. Disappointed that we weren't able to come back, but no school really was, given the circumstances with COVID locally. In July, again, we postponed. The new CIF calendar was released, which kind of bought us some more time. The calendar pushed sports back all the way into the second semester, where it currently still stands. And what it really did was it give us more time to kind of plan how our seasons would look, how we would use our facilities. Because when you jam all these sports second semester into 2 seasons, it's facilities-wise. Mr. Tilton, he oversees our facilities as assistant principal. He'll tell you, and Mr. Llewellyn, as we plan these events and games, it's quite extensive. So we started looking at that back in July. And we also got our coaches COVID trained. They did an official training online and received a certificate of completion. So we're able to monitor and track the training our coaches received, which we're really proud of. In August, the LA County Department of Public Health released the youth sports guidelines. Dr. De Leon had mentioned that in her presentation. that really dictated the direction that we were going to be going in LA County with youth sports. It kind of governs all youth sports, even outside the high school levels. So it's a really extensive document, as Dr. De Leon mentioned, and we had to sift through that as we decided and planned how we were going to reopen athletics. We also had to wait for the numbers to decrease, which they did in the last month or so. Again, a small rise recently, but it doesn't appear to be as daunting as it was back in July. In August, we also started to refine our reopening plans. We talk about the evolution of the plan itself. New protocols come out, new numbers of students allowed to be in one place at one time. We talk about the ratio of 10%, the cap that was mentioned earlier, that we're also using for athletics and performing arts. We're a population of 2,300 students currently, so we're looking at about 230 students on our campus outside at any one given time, but also keeping them separate. And so strategically, you'll see in a little bit how we've had to be really careful with assigning locations and check-ins and egress and exits from campus to make sure that we are not cross-contaminating, if you will, students mixing amongst each other. So we have a plan to be very careful with that. We've attended various meetings with teams in our league. We actually have one tomorrow with our principals and ADs, and we're collaborating and sharing ideas of how to, best practices for bringing people onto campus for athletics, conditioning, and for performing arts. And that process really allows us to kind of coordinate dates, figure out, what's working and what's not. And I've said this all along. I think the best thing that we can do when you look at reopening and you look at safety being the most important thing in the world to all of us, when we send our kids to school, you don't want to be the first school to try something. Or the first district, right? You kind of want to see what's out there, but you also don't want to be the last, because you're going to be left behind, and conditioning is really important for our bodies as we prepare for sports. And I think we found that sweet spot in our league. Many of us are starting right around the same time. So we are really proud of the timeline. We're getting into October, and you'll see in October, we do have a number of trainings planned. We're going to have many nights of parent meetings, which we are looking forward to, sharing this information in great detail. The very exact specifics of who's with who, what groups of kids are coming in, where they enter, how they leave, the staggering of times, all those details will be presented to parents and students who are going to be expected to be there, so that they have all the information necessary to keep us safe and to keep this whole process going. October 12th is the target date to begin sports and conditioning. That doesn't mean all sports are starting in fall on that exact same day. We do have days of the week that certain sports will be conditioning, and same thing on the 19th, performing arts. That's the first date we're eligible to begin per our timeline. Our return to play plan. I want to give credit to our team at GHS. Man, a completely extensive document. It's about 20 pages long, drafted by our team. Taking LA County Department of Health, the state orders, the county orders, and knowing that we have to be in compliance, I should say, with those orders and with those protocols, and sifting through all that to see where it matches and how it makes sense was a lot of work. And I want to credit our athletic director, Jerry Llewellyn, and Mr. Titland, and our whole athletics department and team and coaches, and what will soon become our athletes and parents as they become partners in this process as well. We focus on risk mitigation. We focus on our COVID response team. If something were to happen, we have a plan in place for that, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We talk about the reacclimation of training. Many of our students have been at home for the last 6 months. And when we come back to training, whether it be performing arts or athletics, there's some reacclimation to conditioning that will need to take place before we just jump right into it full speed. And we're really cognizant of that, and our athletic trainers are as well, and our coaches are as well. So we talk about safety protocols and procedures, which we'll touch on tonight as well. And then we have in this plan, we have maps and sample conditioning plans that kind of outline what something might look like on a given day. And then we have a sample reporting form in case someone does get sick. We do have plans in place for reporting that information and following the correct protocols per guidelines. So we talk about the guidelines and where we pull from. This is the framework. This is how we build our plan. You look at LA County, and we talked about that document a couple times tonight, the youth sports guidelines that were released, and it's such an extensive document that has really strict requirements in place that we have to be in compliance with. And you'll find elements of that throughout our plan. General health orders that exist for everybody in society. Wearing masks out in public. We have to wear masks while we're on our campus and while we're working out. We talk about the state of California this past summer released a Stronger Together document. There's elements of bringing students back onto campus that we have to pull from there as well when we build a plan to bring kids back on our campus, even for athletics and performing arts, as well as throughout the general school day when we do come back for in-person instruction. And then lastly, CIF and NFHS, which is quite an acronym, and then NATA, which is our National Athletic Trainers Association, provides guidelines, which are all in alignment, but there's lots to sift through. And all of those elements from CIF, from NFHS, and from NATA are found throughout the plan as well. With that said, I'd like to bring forward our athletic director, Mr. Llewellyn.
Woo. Thank you, Mr. Brummett. And thank you, Ms. Campos, yes. Thank you, Mrs. Campos, all night.
Thank you so much.
Keeping us safe, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Thank you, Mr. Brummett. President Reuter, trustees, Dr. De Leon, and cabinet, again, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to come share our plan. I'm very proud of our team. We've spent many hours putting safety first, and we take it very seriously. So again, I just want to publicly thank the team, amazing people who put in a lot of hard work. And so what I want to share with you is, what does a day look like at GHS on October 12th? First of all, you're going to see a lot of smiling faces, and that's the most important thing. But so what we're going to do when we bring our students onto campus, we are going to have different entry points for each group. And after a lot of thought and in collaboration on our team and talking to ADs throughout the country via these wonderful Zoom meetings that we have and local ADs, one of the biggest problems they faced is when they had one entry point, the students tended to gather and socialize, and the process just took too long. And so what we are going to do is have different entry points for each group. All of our coaches, our directors, okay, they are going to screen our students for COVID symptoms and take temperature checks and record it on a form. Each form that they will have pod-specific names on that sheet. And so the process should go relatively quick. On our campus, when the students arrive, they must be wearing a mask and they must bring their own water. We will not have any refilling of water bottles or anything like that on our campus, okay? And if an athlete does not bring their own water, they are not going to be allowed on the premises, okay? So looking at practice, we are going to be in pods of no more than 11, and that is including coaches. So it can be 10 players to 1 coach is what we're really looking at. The emphasis, like Mr. Brummett said, is on conditioning. We need to get our kids back moving, right? We want them to have a good time, but the worst thing that we can do at this point is get out there and think everybody's in the same place, and it's just not the case. And we don't want anybody coming down with an injury and missing the start of the season. The sessions will take, they will be no longer than 1 hour in length. That is the maximum. We want to get them there, do what we need to do, and then get them off of our campus in preparation for the next group arriving. Social distancing of 8 feet is required when no masks are worn. And what we mean when our students are in what we're going to call conditioning, when when it's pretty, not intense, but when it's more than normal, they don't have to wear a mask. So we're going to require them to be 8 feet apart. As our students finish with their session, each group will have a dedicated exit point, which is different than the entry point, okay? Our coaches, the directors will ensure that when our students leave, that social distancing will take place. Okay, with that said, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Tilton to share with you the exact plan on the facilities.
Thank you, Mr. Llewellyn.
You would like to ask a question specific to that part of the presentation?
If you don't mind, Jerry, or Mr. Llewellyn. Could you give me an example of an entry point and an exit point?
Sure.
Oh, that's you? Okay. Sorry, he's pointing to him.
You know what, this is next to Mr.
Okay.
Tilton for sports specifics. We'll let him take that one if you don't
Got it.
mind.
Oh, yeah. Just look at the next page.
Next page has
They're right into
your
it.
answer.
Good.
Running the risk of repeating what the others said,
I too would like to thank all of you for your time and having us here tonight, not just your time tonight and support tonight, but all of you, your support leading up to getting us to tonight, not holding the reins so tight to kind of say, okay guys, go figure it out, and we think we figured it out. So as you see on here, we have 10 groups of students that we're bringing back on campus. If you look at the parking / drop-off space, we have 5 different locations for that. So although 2 groups could be parking in the tennis lot court, say, they are from their car, they will have different ingress and egress. So like look for choir, for example. When they arrive, they're going to park in the tennis court, and they will come through the gates of the on the east side of the 200 quad, and they will participate. Some of them will be in the 100 quad, some of them will be in the 200 quad, but when they leave, they're going to exit west of the 200 quad. Since Chloe is here, we'll cover volleyball. We're going to have them park in the circle driveway. The place they're going to end up is the outdoor basketball courts, and so they will check in on the east side of the boys' locker rooms. They would kind of between the pavilion and the gym is how they would get there. Then they would get to the boys' side. They would get their check-in there, and then we're asking them when they leave to go up the steps by the outdoor basketball courts up to the 100 quad, the outside there, the south side of the 100 quad, and then exit. And the reason we're doing that is so if Chloe's in the first group and she's leaving, she's going to be a little higher north as her next group of teammates are coming 15 minutes later, that they're not passing each other as their ingress or egress. And so we have the different, we also have an isolation room for everyone. And one of our biggest selling points at our parent meeting is we need to do this together. The kids, the parents, guardians, grandma, grandpa, whoever's with that kid needs to really help us with the pre-screening. So hopefully we never get to that isolation spot. But if we do have someone with symptoms, we are going to want them to not only have a safe place to go, we want them to have a place that they can go discreetly and for their privacy to help them out with that as well. So the isolation room. And then they also have the different practice locations there. That's a lot to look at, but if we go to the next slide, you'll see a map. And that is where everyone's going to be spread out. So pageantry is going to only have 2 groups at the most. And so they'd have 10 kids in the 300 quad and 10 kids in the 400 quad. Band has the most groups, but they're coming at different times. So the most groups that the band would have at any one time would be 3 groups. So you see that they have 4 locations there. We try to tend to put the drum line is phenomenal, but they sure are loud. So we try to put them by the speed lines kind of away from everything else that's going on.
They're so cool.
And so that's how we will spread them out when they're practicing. That's how we'll keep them safe coming in and out and not passing each other. Do you want to ask questions about that now before we move on? Because Mr. Brumman's going to finish up, I believe. All right.
Extensive planning, Mr. Tilton. The 3 of you, amazing. Wow.
So again, the focus here is student and staff safety, which it always is every day in everything we do, but just an extreme emphasis on that. We talked about the number of people that have come together to build this plan. It goes beyond our site too. The support from the district office, Mr. Chaldu, Dr. DeGrazia, Dr. Daly, just everybody in cabinet has been available a phone call away. Hey, how are you interpreting this? What are you hearing about this? How do you suggest we proceed? And it's just been it's total team effort. So we're really proud of the work that's been done district-wide to make this happen or to get to where we are right now. And we talk about the 3 Gs a lot this year at Glendora High School, and I think that kind of encompasses and summarizes, circling back to that picture in the beginning, we talk about grit being our theme, that strength of character, that resolve. Our students have shown that during this time. They've been patient and they're very excited about this opportunity. But we talk about the grace too. We're all giving each other grace as we're working through. And we look at this plan tonight and tomorrow, something new could come out and we might have to tweak it a little bit. So this is very much a living document. We definitely didn't print it as a PDF yet. It's in Google Docs. And we talk about gratitude. We're so thankful for everybody's efforts. We're thankful for our kids and our parents, for the board, and just everybody district-wide for their support and coming together to make this happen and get us into the spot we are today. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be here, and we'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Who has any questions or comments?
Again, just gratitude, and I love it, grace, gratitude, and grit. Thank you for all of the work, because I know sometimes it's the kids' purpose for coming to school is extracurricular or athletics or performing arts or whatever it is, and they need that encouragement. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to thank you for all of the work that's put into this, and this is just to bring back sports, right? And a tremendous amount of planning for that, and so I can imagine the level of effort that's going into bringing back when we deal with special ed or when the county starts increasing our percentages, what it's going to take and what you're already doing on it if this is just sports. And I appreciate you always putting student and staff safety first. I appreciate a very detailed presentation that was organized and delivered very well and easy for anyone to take this and answer a lot of questions. So thank you for doing that and being here tonight.
Thank you.
I'll echo what my colleagues say, but I would also like to thank all of the coaches. I can't even begin to imagine what it must be like for our, for example, football coaches to have to figure out how to run 6 different practices to be able to see the whole team, you know, only one time per week. So let's say we want to try and see them multiple times a week to try and figure out those 6 different practices. Plus a lot of coaches are also our teachers. So they're figuring out how to teach their classes, prepare for their classes, and run significantly more practices per week than they would have to in a normal environment. So I want to thank all of our coaches sincerely for all of the effort. I'm sure they're very excited to get back, but it is going to be a lot of work, and I really do appreciate that. And all of the administrators that have facilitated this plan and tried to figure out the moving pieces and parts. Very informative. We'll make sure that it's up. The presentation is up on our website. Obviously, this is being recorded and people will be able to watch it, but I have a feeling that this is of interest to a lot of folks, and we appreciate the clarifications and the hard work that everybody has done. Thank you.
Thank you
all so much for coming tonight. It's nice to see you in person.
Likewise. Yeah, the document we anticipate we'll be sharing at parent nights, and we'll also publish that as well when it's finalized, and we'll give you guys the draft of that as well. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Brummett. We are proud of you and your team. Thank you so much.
Okay, moving along, there is no public hearing this evening, so we'll move along to public input. Tonight, public input can be expressed either through the board meeting public comment email or if in person as well. So I'll ask first, Dr. Summers, if we've received any emails from the board meeting public comment email.
We did not.
We have not received any emails in our board meeting public comment email. So I will now ask Dr. DeGrazia to please go outside and check to see if we have any members of the public that would like to address the board in person. Thank you, Dr. DeGrazia. We understand that there is not anyone out here in person. That will move us along to our discussion action items. And our first discussion action item is the approval of the learning continuity and attendance plan. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Ellenson.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Fernando. Dr. Kelson.
Yes, thank you, President Ruder, trustees, Superintendent De Leon. We are pleased to bring the learning continuity and attendance plan back to this group for your consideration. As you are aware, the plan will go from here this evening to a website at LA County Office of Education. They have until October 30th to review our plan and return any additional comments to us. It's an accordion-like process. At that time, if any comments come back for a third review by LA County, we'll be back in touch with you. Otherwise, we're very confident that our plan presents the details of the work that we've been doing this summer.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. On to number 2, the approval of resolution number 2, alternative interdistrict attendance program space availability. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Merkley.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Ellenson. Dr. De Leon or Dr. Kelson on this one?
I can talk about this one?
Go ahead.
Real, just briefly.
Yep.
This has to do with our district of choice and the numbers, and so you will see a great deal of detail in the actual documents about how many spaces at each site. And so, which is a huge number of students who come to us, which I have to say is really, really important because most districts in this area are in declining enrollment. And so this would be to approve our numbers and our plan for district of choice.
Thank you very much. Any questions on this motion? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. We now move on to our consent items. Before I ask for a blanket motion on our consent items, is there any individual item that a board member would like to pull out? Seeing none, may I please have a blanket motion for the consent items?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Ellenson. Thank you, Dr. Fernando. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Okay, we're going to move on now to comments from members of the Board of Education. If I could remind you all to turn your microphone on when it is your turn. I'll start with Ms. Bork, please.
Thank you, Mrs. Reuter. I just, again, want to express my thanks and appreciation for getting these groups together so that we can get our kids back to a school. I also want to comment on something we read in our weekly reports from the schools. Sandburg has a new project starting there that when I saw the plan, it was amazing. A student is written a grant, gotten it for over $20,000 to start a garden at Sandburg. And it came from, I can't read with this thing on, Plants for People. It's a nonprofit organization, and they're going to be expanding and growing it bigger. So it's going to be a wonderful experience for students to actually see from seed to table, you know, how things are grown and have a part in it and get their hands dirty in it too. So I just want to thank Jake Fry, the student who's doing all this work, and it's just a great thing. I'm happy for the GUSD Gazette. I think in all of the communications that I've received in the past few weeks, it's become very evident that we need to be better at communicating with our public. And I'm so proud that we're taking the bull by the horns, if you will, and getting this started. So I want to thank Jen Prince for getting that and getting it going in a weekend. And I actually like having the speakers come to the podium rather than sitting at the table down here. So it's kind of nice, a different format for us. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Borg. Mrs. Merkley?
Well, I am just really very excited and very thankful for all those who work, especially behind the scenes, as we prepare, hopefully, to go back to school. There's so much going on that the general public doesn't see, but I'm just so grateful for all the work that goes on.
Thank you, Mrs. Merkley. Mr. Ellenson?
Thank you, Mrs. Reuter. Reiterate what some of my colleagues have said. Mrs. Borg, communication, it is very exciting to see us moving forward in that direction, and the need that we've had for public information administrator for a while. Now more than ever, you cannot over communicate, and hopefully this will help us in that regard. This board meeting was different than some of the other meetings, not just because we're here in person as part of the evolving COVID situation, but because it was exciting that we got to hear about plans of reopening and hear about our students, as Mr. Llewellyn said, seeing smiling faces in person. It's a nice vision. I know that we were in closed session today for 2 hours talking about being briefed on everything that our administrators and staff are doing, from superintendent to teachers to classified staff, administrators, to prepare for the days and weeks to come. Plans and contingency plans and backup plans and plans that have to get scrapped and start over again, following guidelines that continuously change. I cannot imagine what it's like to be working here right now. I was able to visit a teacher's classroom virtually, a first grade teacher, and how she manages 19 boxes on her screen, the first graders trying to teach them how to read. And then hearing that we have to sanitize after each student goes to use any facility, touches any surface, and the custodial staff that will need to do that. I stopped by and saw the daycare preschool site at Williams, and sure enough, a student swings on a swing and gets up, and someone was there with a spray of disinfectant and wiped the swing down between students. It's just a massive amount of work, and I appreciate everyone that's doing it. I know we say it every time, but I don't think we can say it enough. How hard this has been. Part of our briefing in closed session was talking about how much work was done over the weekend. It seems like the team worked the entire weekend. And I think that's a common occurrence, weekends lately. But we're all on the same page. This is a very difficult situation that no one wants to be in. It is not ideal for anybody. No one really likes it, but we're all doing what's best. We're following the rules. We're working collaboratively with both of our employee associations, and I'm proud that we're putting safety first. But I'm also excited that we get to start talking about bringing kids back. And I hope that this trend continues. I hope that the numbers stay good. I hope that the county and the state continues to not only give us rules, but support and funding to be able to do what they're asking us to do. So I'm happy to be here tonight, and I'm happy to hear everything that we did and all of the reports. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ellenson. Dr. Fernando.
Just want to thank the district office staff for just creating this environment for us, for the plexiglass, for the cleaning that was done. I know that just adds to your workload, and so just wanted to thank you for the work that you did to just make this meeting happen. I mean, it's just, again, as Mr. Ellenson says, a foretaste of what we have to do to move this district forward in the time of COVID. So, I mean, one thing I continue to remember as I sit here is how naive I was, a year ago when I took, basic things for granted, such as speaking in front of a mic without a mask on. So thank you for making that extra effort, for manning the email, for creating a live stream to make this accessible to our public.
I'll echo everybody's sentiments, and I'll also thank the public. We have received feedback from a lot of different people in the past week with a lot of encouraging emails and some emails also that have given us the gift of constructive criticism and feedback. And I appreciate you all. I appreciate your patience in all the moving pieces and parts that have come with our board meetings in the past 6 months. I think this is the 4th iteration of kinds of board meetings that we've been able to have in the past 6 months. And I thank you all for reaching out and engaging the board and engaging the district office staff. We do hear what you want to say, and we take everybody's comments seriously and into consideration. So I do really want to thank the community. As the high school presenters mentioned, we're going to need the help. We're going to need the help of parents. We're going to need the help of the community to get back to where we all want to be with our students back in school. So I thank you all. I thank everybody here tonight. All the technology, Mr. Carter, Patrick, thank you very much for figuring this out tonight.
They're hopping all the time.
Yep, I appreciate everything, and with everybody else. I'm glad to be here tonight. I'm glad to sit here next to my colleagues and the cabinet that you all can't see behind the camera here. I'm really happy to see you all tonight, and I'm really happy that this is the way that we're moving forward right now, and I hope the momentum continues this way. Thank you all. With that, may I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Merkley.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Borg. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We adjourn at 8:12 p.m.
Thank you, everyone. Great meeting.